Alright, we're going to see about installing an outer impact adjustable heated brake lever on Polaris Matryx. Some of the tools you're going to need a pick. You might need a small flat screwdriver, 3mm Allen wrench or T-handle, a large flat screwdriver, 10mm socket, 3/32 Allen wrench, 5/16 end wrench, and a T40 Torx, a ratchet for taking the bolts and stuff out, or an impact gun. You also need the parts from the kit, which is the electronics package, the adjustable heated brake lever, some zip ties, and a pin to replace the parking brake pin. So the first thing we need to do is take the side panels off the machine, get those out of the way. We also need to take off the hood. So we'll start by going down that path. Fortunately, these come off pretty easy. We need to go ahead and take the hood off. Don't forget to undo this electrical connector right under here for the hood. And there she is. There's the heart of the machine. Set that here in the back. Now we need to remove some push pins. That's what the big flat blade screwdriver is for. Pop those up so we can get them out. We need to take all of these out in order to facilitate installing the brake system. They do make some tools for these push pins. We just don't happen to have that particular tool. And the screwdriver works just fine. So now we have those push pins out. We'll set those aside. Need to take this cover plate out, slide it back, set it aside as well. Take out this T40. This T40. And this T40. And we'll take out the one on the other side as well. This gives a little more flexibility to the plastic. Allows us to get in there a little bit better. May not be necessary, but it certainly feels like it helps. Set those aside. We'll have to cut this zip tie. So I have a zip tie cutter here. So that we can release that from the machine. Now we can kind of start to peel these things apart, get them around the air filters. We're going to need to remove the ECU. Which is what your 10mm socket is for. Careful, we don't want to lose this bolt down inside the engine compartment. There's another one down here. After we got those bolts out, we can set those aside as well. So this should now be free to come out of the machine. We can set that with the rest of the parts. This should give us a little bit of room to get in here to this pouch, which is where we're headed for hooking up the power. And now we can take this off. It just squeezes together to come off. And we can start feeding in the heated brake system. We'll want to go ahead and take this clamp off using our 3mm Allen wrench or T-handle. You can set that aside. Now we can start feeding this system in to the machine. And we're going to want to go down into here and feed it under through this spot right here. So this isn't terribly hard to do with everything here. Oh, if we take this out, that'll help. Put that back in that way. There we go. That gives us a little more clearance. Start fishing this in here. Bring that up there, and I'm going to set that underneath. Come to the other side of the machine. It is actually helpful in feeding this up through here to come to this side of the machine to reach under. I'm going to get the other component here. Seems that maybe I don't know exactly where that one's at. Oh, it kind of came back. That's why. Feed that through and have it follow the first set of wires. Bring that up. This one goes to the brake. I want to dive under the handlebars or the throttle cable there. And this can be mounted up here should somebody want to mount it there. In this particular case, we're going to mount it here. The plug down below, I'm going to open up this pocket, and we are looking for the RCA accessory power plug. We can go ahead and take the cap off, set that aside. Now we can plug in the heated brake system, and this will get pushed up in here and eventually zip tied to this wiring harness. The electronics will get pushed back into this pouch. So far, so good. Just make sure everything's looking pretty good. Okay. This is going to get put up there. So now we're going to take our adjustable lever. This pin is an assembly pin. We're going to want to assemble this first, so we need to take the original off. We're also going to take this out of its package to facilitate that assembly. You will need the pick or the small flat blade screwdriver. Push in the push pin. I didn't get it quite right. Push it up and pull it out. Those can be a little tricky at times. And set that aside. You will need it later. Now we need to take out this push pin, which is on this lever. Push it in. It went to the next stage. I'm going to twist it around where I can see the little silver push pin. I'm going to push it in again, and it will come to the next stage, which is on this side of the lever. And if I look in there, I can just see the push pin, and I want to push that in. To get that out. You can set that aside. Don't lose the spring here. There's your old brake system, parking lever. Want to take that spring, go to the new brake lever, set it in there like that. This spring lines up with this hole right here, and we want to bring that around to where it lines up with that white pin. Now we can take our new parking brake pin and start pushing it in. Push the assembly pin through. You may not want to lose that assembly pin. You might want it at a later date. Once the assembly pin is pushed through, we can put the nut on the back. And we want to take our 3/32 Allen wrench, tighten it down till it just stops. We don't need to snug it hard, as the threads, if you get too overzealous, the threads won't hold up. It is nylocked, so it will not fall off or vibrate off. And there's the parking brake installed. Now we can take our original pin. Do not come in from this sideways. If you hit that sideways, you'll break it off. You want to push this in this way, and then we can push our original pin back in. Alright, now we're set up. This can come around and get hooked into this loop, and we can come over here and plug it into our assembly for the heated brake system. At this point, I'm going to take a couple of small zip ties, and I'm going to check the travel here. I want a little bit more. Make sure it doesn't interfere with anything or stretch the wires too tight. Then I'm going to take a small zip tie and zip tie it to the existing wires coming in there. And I'll do another one over here as well. There we go. And then I will grab, we have a zip tie gun that we like to use for tightening zip ties. It's not necessary, but it's how we prefer to do it because it tensions them and trims them all at the same time. Makes life easier. Okay, now that that's done, we can actually take the Polaris band here, retaining band, and on this particular model, put the heated lever wires inside of that so that they're not going anywhere. Grabbing the next set. Looking pretty good. So like I said, we're going to mount this right here. We'll push those wires back down because there doesn't need to be that much wire sticking out. End up going through there just like that. So we can take this, take one of these out, set it aside, come around to the other side here, and I'm going to get this started. I'm going to get the next one started as well. Okay, so that one went in. It's kind of snug now. That looks like a good spot for that. Right there. And we'll finish snugging this up. You'll want to put some blue Loctite on these screws. It will help keep them from rattling out. Alright, that's good and snug. Everything's looking pretty good at this point. We'll want to grab the Polaris keeper for the wires. Put everything back into that and reinstall it back into the steering post. There we go. Everything's starting to look good. Okay. So we can check the wires on the other side, make sure they're not interfering with anything, bound up on anything, any of that. If we want to, we can actually zip tie them to the rest of that, but this looks like it's doing pretty good. Alright, the last thing that we need to do here is we need to zip tie this electronic box to this wiring loom. We're going to take one of the long zip ties and we're going to fish it around the electronics box. It might be easier from the other side. Fish it down in there. Can reach under and grab the zip tie. I have my left hand underneath going up to get the zip tie to pull it through. Once that's there, we can start cinching that down, reach back under, make sure everything's where it's supposed to be. This is where I'm going to grab that zip tie gun again and cinch that up, because that looks like that's the right spot for that. Okay. Now we're going to want to get another zip tie, and this one's much harder to get because it has to go back in here. So we'll take another zip tie and wrap it around the wiring loom in the back there. You can sneak it right down here. Try and reach under. See if it's come through. Should be underneath there. There we go. Pull it around. Using my left hand, I guide the tip of it back up and through. There we go. This is where things are going to get tricky. Tip of the zip tie doesn't want to shoot back up through the hole. Which makes this difficult. Nope. Got part of it. Okay, so alright, got that zip tie right there. Now I can put the two ends together. Then we want to make sure it's surrounding the box, as this is a little bit of a struggle. And zip tie. Okay, so our camera cut out there. We were in the middle of putting that second zip tie on. We're going to use our zip tie gun again and cinch this down. And that should now be secure. So now we can go through and make sure that our electrical box here, our pouch, is velcroed back together and everything's looking pretty good there. We'll also want to double check our cables and wires, make sure that there's nothing going on there. Everything looks good. You should now be able to turn on the sled and test your heated brake lever. High would be up, low would be down, middle is off. So happy trails.